So Donna, you got to introduce yourself.
Oh, sorry.
Let's do this thing.
Let's do this. All that stuff we just talked about, that's not a video, is it?
It is, yeah, but I'll delete it.
Oh, yeah.
I got so much juicy stuff on these cameras that I've had to edit.
Oh, right. So I'm so glad to hear that. Not that I said anything that's inappropriate. So, good morning, everybody. I'm Donna Herdsman. And how would I describe myself? Well, I was at a panel last week and I said, you know, I like to have fun at work because I think it's really important. I've had the pleasure of working with some great organisations. Actually, PricewaterhouseCoopers was one of them.
Cool.
Coopers and Lybrand actually is where I see myself trying to do my first corporate role. And before that, London Borough of Lambeth. So I think I have an affinity with both the public sector and the private sector. And after PwC, I joined IBM. So that's part of the IBM acquisition of PwC Consulting all those years ago. Yeah. And then from IBM, I went to Hewlett Packard Enterprise. I took a year out, which was when I left HPE last year. I remember when I was at school, and this is why I think school's so important, and why being resilient is so important, because the influence of teachers is amazing, and it can make you, but can also break. And I remember I was at school, and I don't think my mother remembered, but one of my teachers, my school teachers, actually said he didn't think I'd get my A-level English because he didn't think we sat down and ate dinner around a table, and that's because he didn't think we owned a table.
Oh my God!
And I came top of my class.
Oh my God!
My English, because I love to read.
And he said that to you?
I love English. Yeah, he said that to me.
Wow.
He said, and then when I look back, because you look backwards with different eyes, don't you? And what it was there's 6 of us, because it was so I grew up in Hertfordshire, so you know, I'm not Londoner. I came to London to do my degree in business studies, and I stayed. And there were 6 of us in the class. And that's why I'm saying it's not even a race. It's not a race thing. And I think people try to talk about it all being about race. It's not. It's about people, I believe. Yeah. But three of the people, it's really nice. We all got on well. But one of the 6 of us, one of the guys, his dad was an English teacher.
Yeah.
One of them, his dad was a lawyer, and one of the girls, her dad was the deputy headmaster. Yeah. So he put them in one bucket, and the other 3, who was me, he was black, there was an Asian girl, and there was a white girl who he deemed working class. And he put the 3 of us and said, you know, when we compare stories, the 3 of us have been faced with similar kind of comments, not as brutal as the one that I had, but similar kind of comments. A working class girl had been told, oh, well, you're working class, you know, your aspirations aren't as high as everybody else. And you know, the Asian girl got told, apparently, you know, I'm amazed you've progressed this far.
So he wasn't racist. He was nasty to everybody.
It was nasty for him. It was about social class. Because the other 3, he believed, rightly or wrongly actually, that because of the profession of their parents, they would outperform us. And when I've got to tell you, when I came to the class, I was because it was about ability.
It's a big thing about these little videos is really trying to understand some of the barriers that black women and men face in business that their non-white, that their white colleagues in particular would not really understand. So I'm trying to find those things. Like, I mean, what you said about, it was interesting what you said about the teacher at school, but that was more about exclusion on social class. Are there any experiences you've had?
Yeah, but you say exclude, but I don't know, and I'll never know, and I never ponder on it. You know, if my parents had a different kind, well, he didn't even know what my parents did. Yeah. But you know, was the fact that I'm the Asian girl automatically set to one side, driven more by race than class? And class just happened to. I mean, I'll always wonder.
But he associated your class because of your colour.
But exactly, because he never really asked me. I never, you know, was never really interested, never really asked me. But I was an outgoing personality then. And I think, you know, coming back to your question in a roundabout way, I was like deputy head girl. I was house captain. I was a prefect.
Oh my God.
So, you know, kind of someone in the school. And I won as my mum, I forget these things, but my mother reminded me, and I was either discus or shot put champion for 7 years in a row. She's still got all my certificates. So, you know, a huge, I was, you know, so I achieved at school, whatever, you know, you want to measure achievement. So he couldn't ignore me. And that to me, told me something more about him. Yeah. That I clearly was somebody that had skills and capability. Because you don't end up in those roles unless you're trusted, especially the prefect role.
So what about at work, in your working life?
Well, working life, it's, I think the challenge in working life has always been having to actually be quite resilient. Because it's, you know, you can do it well. When somebody comes out and they overtly are racist or sexist or ageist or any of those isms, it's actually much easier to deal with. It's all the micro comments that you have to look at, and it's really quite easy when you are a minority to think that it's all about you, that it's your fault, that people are seeing things in you that are all bad. You know, you work too hard, and why is that bad? Well, I got told that you work too hard, but I got told that. And then
it's amazing to get that as a piece of feedback.
But then I realised, and somebody who was, you know, really good sponsors and supporters are really important, said, you know, but that's not a weakness, Donna. And I thought, no, you're right, it's not a weakness. But this person tried to, I can imagine if I'd then slowed down, the feedback would have been, you're not working hard enough. Do you know what I mean? So you have to filter. Yeah, you have to. So what I've learned at work is when you're faced with people that have make those micro comments, you know, you're too aggressive, and I feel like saying, well, no, I'm not, because if I was aggressive, you would know it. Do you know what I mean? Kind of, you know, you wouldn't have to question if I was being aggressive, because you would know it. Because I'm not. I'm just self-assured, because you have to be self-assured to get up and get out of bed every day and not make the world that you're inhabiting about you. Because you could become quite an introvert and worried about how you look, what you say, who you speak to, who you don't speak to.
It's easy to get totally paranoid, isn't it?
You could become paranoid, and you could stop living your life. I mean, you know, there were a couple of things I was reflecting yesterday, but I remember there was an opportunity at one, and I won't say which, one of the organisations I work for a team that I was part of, to meet the global lead for this part of the business. And there was 6 of us. I was the only non-white person in the leadership team, and they took the 5 white people and didn't take me. And when I questioned why they didn't take me, they said, oh, we could only take 5 and there's 6 of you. And I said, and that's the reason why. But the thing is, they didn't even tell me in advance. I only knew because I saw them all coming back from this meeting, and I said, oh, where have you all been? And that's when they told me. And I felt about that big. So that's what I mean about the micro impact. And I remember somebody said to me, what would you really like to do? And I told them, oh no, you can't do that. That's at work. And I said, why can't I do that? There was no, let's explore, let's look at this, let's do that. It was an immediate, because in their minds they had made a decision that I was only allowed to go so far, and it's not linked to ability. So my message to everybody is, you have to look beyond what you think you see and understand the people that you're dealing with. Because, you know, I met some wonderful people, and it's amazing the amount of talent they've got. When when you get to know them, just how talented people truly are, where their passions are, and harness that, because that's what makes organisations great. When you're harnessing the capability of your people.
And were there specific situations that you got into where people casually excluded you for you?
Yeah, well, you know, I worked with one team, and they were rugby fans. And I remember coming in on a Monday morning, and they'd all been to the rugby together. and I got really annoyed, and this is why you're getting annoyed. I said, well, none of you invited me. Well, you didn't want to be invited. I said, well, how do you know? You didn't. Oh, you never gave me the option to join you or not. And I said, it so happens I used to play for a female rugby team when I was at college, because one of the guys in the rugby team snapped the top of his vertebrae and became disabled. So we set up we did a one-off charity event. The girls play the boys, and we realised it was a good way of raising funds. So we formed a women's charity, a women's rugby team. I was loser prop. And we spent the year playing rugby games with other colleges and raising funds. And then there's lots of language about football, and they, even if you join in, you looked at like you can't possibly know what you're talking about. My husband loves football. He's a lifelong Chelsea fan. I've been to the Bridge. They're in trouble this year, not doing as well as we thought they might be doing, but I've got an opinion. You don't have to agree with it. So there's lots of assumptions of, well, that's not really what you do, and so assumptions are made which end up excluding you. Okay, so I think when you're a minority, you tend to network more outside of your immediate group because you're in a minority. Right. Yeah. So I think I'm really, not just me, but I've had the opportunity to meet and have varied people in my networks. When you're in my network, so I've got a really varied.
That's just because we're both fabulous.
Yeah, we are both fabulous, but I've got a really varied richness of my network. I feel equally comfortable in a scenario where I'm the only black woman, or in a scenario where I'm in the majority. All of us are black. It doesn't really bother me, because what I'm with people. The bit that makes you uncomfortable is when somebody feels they have to make a comment about you in a scenario that actually you are quite comfortable in.
Does that happen to you then?
I remember going to, I turned up at an event and someone said to me, I'm not sure, are you sure you're in the right place? I said, yeah, this is, whatever the event was. And they said, no, I think you might be in the wrong event. All the teachers, because we've got several events here, and the one for the teachers is down the road. I said, well, no, but I'm not a teacher. I said, there's nothing wrong with being a teacher. But I'm not a teacher. No, but this is for executives. I said, yeah, I'm an executive. So you actually, for a nanosecond, you actually questioned yourself. I remember I went somewhere and this woman said to me, I'm really new. She said, I'm new. I said, oh yeah, I've only been in this organisation for a couple of months. And she said, oh, what's it like to be a secretary? I said, I don't know. And she said, oh, I really want to apologise. You must be an executive assistant. I said, no, I'm not one of those. I'm not one of those either. But so, so I stood my ground, and in the end she said, well, what are you? I said, well, you should have volunteered. I told that story to Mr. You should have volunteered. I said, but why should I have volunteered what I was? Why did she make these assumptions about me? Well, she didn't know me at all. Because she does it to me, she'll do it to somebody else. Worst of all, she'll do it at a client. Yeah. So I'd rather she learn how to engage effectively with me than did it at a client. And the moment she left the room, the client would be on the phone to the organisation asking what the hell they thought they were playing at. Sending someone that actually, couldn't even treat them with respect. But I went home. I remember having a conversation with my husband where I just talked. He didn't say anything. I just talked about, is it me? Am I presenting myself well?
So
even though I knew all of that was crap, and there was somebody I really trusted, and I said to him, when you look at me, do you see somebody that's not in a senior role? He said, no, you don't have to worry about that, Donna. You've got gravitas. Yeah, I questioned it.
So it does make you question it.
So it makes you question it.
It doesn't matter how strong you are, how resilient you are.
No, I think, everyone says, well, I think you have to be so resilient. Seriously, you have to be so resilient, because you could walk around. I was thinking about, what with an age bit, you could, all of those are like little paper cuts. But if you get enough of them, they will cut so deep that you start bleeding. And the issue is to absorb them as paper cuts, but don't let them cut so deeply collectively that you end up end up bleeding. And it's really important that, you know, as mentioned earlier, to have people around you that know you for you and support you as you, because we're all on a journey and everybody makes mistakes. I mean, what I find is if you're not in part of a club, people are less forgiving of those mistakes and remember them for longer.
Yeah.
You know. Yeah, but my final message would be, you know, we want a seat at the table. We deserve a seat at the table.
Yeah.
At the top table.
Yeah.
And, you know, the more organisations try to say, don't you think you've done really well because you've got to the middle, the more everyone will be going, you know, hold on, we're not stupid.
Yeah.
Because we've got a brain like everybody else.
Yeah.
Why do you think it's okay to constrain me to be in the middle? It's not where I want to be.
Yeah.
It's not where I aspire to be. And if I've got the skills and I've got the capability and I can grow and develop like everybody else, give me a chance. And if I have a chance and I don't get there, then fair enough. I've had a chance and I don't get there. But don't tell me that I can't simply because you've decided I don't belong.
It's crazy.
And that's where the inequality comes in.
Yeah, thank you so much. I've loved doing this with you. And as with the other videos, I managed not to kill anyone, so I'm quite pleased. Thanks for your time.
Oh, thank you.
Thanks for your stories and your insight. Hopefully people will learn from what you've said. I think there's lots of good nuggets in there, so I appreciate it. Thank you very much.
Yeah, don't constrain talent. Let it flourish.
Absolutely.